What is up, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing a comic book review for Superman for all seasons, and I'm really excited to dive into this, give this a deep dive of a read. We are going to be talking about issue 1. It's a 4-issue miniseries, but today we're going to talk about issue 1 specifically because we wanted to extend this in a way that we could, so we could talk more about it a long term, because I really enjoyed it. So, and of course, I keep saying we. It's not just me here hanging out on screen, but I'm going to bring my good friend Ryan, Fire Guy Ryan, in here. So Ryan, what's up, man?
You sure it's not just you? It might be
just
like
me.
2 separate personalities or something.
Yeah, right.
I'd watch that. That'd be a good
show. Creepy.
Well, hey, it's good to be back.
Yeah, man. Likewise. Appreciate you taking some time here with me to do this, because I know we've been talking about it now for a little while, and glad we could line something up. So yeah, this is all because you had recommended this to me, so this is what really kind of launched it off, and it was during when I was interviewing you, like about a month ago or so for Comic Collector Origins.
It was around like Christmas time, man. I rewatched the whole thing today, and
was it that?
About holiday plans.
Oh man, time flies.
Spider-Man No Way Home had just come out. Like, time doesn't matter anymore.
Oh my goodness. I was still using VHS tapes back then. Us is crazy. Yeah. So I brought up Superman. I've been gaining more interest in wanting to explore the character amongst other DC characters as well. And so during that interview, I mentioned that to you. You had some great suggestions, this book being one of them, Superman for all seasons. And, so I was like, yeah, I'm on board. And, we were talking behind the scenes, like, hey, we could read this, break it down. And you were like, let's do it. And then recently I'm like, hey, instead of doing it all in one show, do you want to like extend it and do, 4 episodes and 1 issue an episode? Give us more of an excuse to talk about this book.
It took me like 10 seconds to think about it. That's a good idea. That's better. That's a better one. Why do 1 video on one of the best books ever written when you could do 4 of them?
Yep. I'm with you. Yeah. So first I want to thank you for giving me this suggestion, this recommendation of a read. And I know you enjoy that just as much as I do, in terms of turning somebody onto a book that they may have never read before that they might really like. So yeah, very cool there. And for people here right now, we got a couple of people hanging in the chat. Let's say a quick hello to them, and then we can dive into this stuff. So we got R to the Ronan.
That's my brother.
Yep. Nice. Hello, Ryan's brother.
I told him he had to watch.
Oh, sweet. Nice.
I forced him to. Yeah.
Nice. We also have my good friend Damien, Sleepy Reader 666, in the house. What's going on, Damien? Let's see. We got Pop and Son Pops in the house. What's going on, Pop? Always a good time seeing you there. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got Biggie Shack in the house as well. New World Order. What's going on, man? And we got Gore just joining us as well. What's going on, Gore Vidal? Says I haven't read. I haven't read Superman. Whoa! So this is a book I've read that Gore has not read. I didn't know that was a thing. He said, "I'll bet it's better than Sokka." Even Joe, yeah. Gore, appreciate you, man, for swinging by today. So if anybody doesn't follow Ryan, you certainly should. I put his information in the description below. So his Instagram, at least, and his YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out. Ryan being a little more active on YouTube, right, here and there.
A little bit.
A little more.
I should be filming a video right now, but I'm procrastinating.
There you go. It's for good cause.
Sure. That's why.
So yeah. So I mean, so I kind of told my story. I guess I wanted to ask you, before we get into like the details of this book, your reason for, I know you love this book. So just like I guess your experience with it, or like, when did you read this, and like, did someone suggest it to you, or did you just discover it on your own?
Yes, I have kind of taken on the mantle, I guess. When I was in college, my roommate had a big graphic novel collection, and this was one of the books he had. He basically introduced me to comics as a whole, and this was one of the books he had, and I was always like, I want to read anything other than that. Superman's boring. Nothing can hurt him. Why would I care? Like, it's boring. And he's like, no, dude, you got to read this. And you can read this and then talk to me about how much you don't like Superman. This will change your mind. And ever since then, I have loved this book. I had like almost like a religious experience reading this comic back.
Wow.
I would have been like 08 or something. We'll get into it, but this comic makes me feel things that no other book has, I think.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
Ever since then, I have used this comic as my answer when people say Superman sucks. I just say, read this, please.
Read this, yeah.
And then
it
usually works. Some people who shall not be named, who may or may not be in this chat later, I don't know. They're not here now. At least they haven't showed their cowardly faces. But some people have read this and still say Superman sucks.
Oh man, okay, all right.
I'll directly call this person out when he decides to make himself known.
Please do. Yeah. Well, that's awesome to hear how powerful it took you, and I definitely had strong emotions about this book as well. Very emotional, and so I'm excited to dive into it with you and hear more of your thoughts on that. There was one other question I wanted to ask. Ever since that, because you talk about that got you into Superman. Have you been like open to reading a lot of Superman? Like, is he a character you genuinely just gravitate towards too, or is it more just this book?
This book kind of overall clued me into the fact that good stories with him can be told.
Okay.
I don't think I have found anything that still hits this kind of level or pushes these exact buttons, because it is too easy to fall into the trap of, let's show him from his powerful side. Let's show the superpowers and like why he's a badass versus why he's a good person. I guess that's the strength of this comic. I am currently reading Superman Son of Kal-El and Action Comics, and those are fine. Those are pretty good. Actually, they're better than fine. I actually quite like both of those runs right now, but I don't think they're anything close to this. Right.
And Damien here agrees too, talking about this. You mentioned All-Star. He said this series and All-Star Superman are two good arguments to prove Superman can be great. Yeah, well said. That is another one, as we just talked before we went live, that's definitely another one that I'd like to explore at some point. So, and the other one you mentioned, you've been reading a few others. I haven't gotten into any Action Comics yet, but I am considering it. And I was going to do a little research on like kind of maybe where I'd want to jump in. I don't know if I just want to jump into the new stuff necessarily, or if there's other things.
It's like issue 1036 is like part of the current story arc of Action Comics right now. Is one of my favorite Superman stories I've read.
Wow. Okay.
I'm really, really, really liking it. So
okay. No, that's good to know. I know. Legion has mentioned something too. Mark had said that too, and I'm loving the current Superman Son of Kal-El. So I'm with you there. Yeah. Hey, we got Mark in the house. What's going on, Mark? He says, not a fan of Superman. Convinced me otherwise. I'm patiently waiting. What's up, Justin? Needs a little help tonight. Yeah, Mark, just talking to Mark about this a little bit. Maybe we can get Mark into some Superman.
The Suns? Is that
he's got the game on. Yeah.
Is that Detroit?
I don't know. I don't know what side he's
Arizona? I don't know what team that is. I don't know why I'm pretending like I know or guessing.
I think it's the Suns. Yeah. I think it's the Suns.
Where is that? What team is that?
Phoenix? Is that Phoenix? Oh, I'm embarrassed to not know that.
I count Arizona.
There you go. Gore agrees as well. Hey, we got Phil in the house. Comic Talk Weekly. What's up, Phil? He said he started Action Comics with Future State. Oh yeah, that's another. That was another one I almost. Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, Future State was another thing that kind of got.
It took a while to really get good in my mind. I think.
Yeah.
Now it's at the peak.
Oh, sweet. Hey, we got Tessa in the house as well. What's going on, Tessa? Absolutely love this book. I'm with you. Mark says Phoenix. All right, so yep, and yep. All right, let's get into this then. I made this fancy little slideshow. Yeah. And now you read it trade, right? Or you have is that a trade paperback? It's hardcover. Very nice.
It's a hardcover.
I'm going to get that. That's next on my list.
I want them to make like a deluxe oversize.
Yeah.
It sucks that All-Star Superman has an absolute edition. I want this to be an absolute.
That'd be great. Yeah. Well, I'll buy that for now, and then when that comes out, if they come out with that, then I'll buy that too.
Cross your fingers, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, Dashing Dust in the house as well. He says, "What's up, Fire Guy Ryan?" We talked briefly on Instagram. Cool. Talking about reading Teen Justice. Cool. All right, let's. I guess general thoughts here. Let's just get a quick kind of I get the hint that you love this book. So is there anything else you'd want to kind of cover as a general thought before we like go into these panels?
Oh no, man, let's jump into it.
Okay, all right, let's do it then.
Let's go.
So right off the bat here, just admiring, the cover artwork, Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. I have not really read much from Jeff Loeb just because I'm still newer to comics and have not really had time to go back and read some of the Jeff Loeb stuff. But I definitely know his name, and I know he's done a lot in comics, and as well as Tim Sale. So do you have any feelings towards these two in terms of, have you read a lot of their other work?
Right here.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Basically, they're like one of the creative teams in my mind. Like when they're like Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips in my mind. When they're working together, like it's magical.
Nice.
It just works. It clicks. And yeah, this book is no exception.
Nice. Hey, we got Albert in the chat. What is up, Albert? Good to see you, man. Thanks for swinging by here. Oh, Dashing meant Justin. Justin, thanks, man. I know that autocorrect. You got to watch it, man. Tessa says top 5 Superman book for me easily. That's good to know. Good to know. So I did throw these pages in here right off the bat. And I threw it in there because I really liked these. I like this little walk through memory lane. You immediately kind of get attached to the characters, right? From a family standpoint, just seeing him grow up and being in all these, these scenes here. What'd you think about how this kind of opened up?
This is perfect. This tells you exactly what kind of story you're getting. This isn't a normal superhero kind of book. This is definitely more like a family scrapbook, sequence that you get here during the credits page. Yep. And it's a way to just spice up, a section of a trade that normally gets skipped completely. True.
That's a good point too. Yeah, I like that it was. Yeah, I almost pictured like music in the background as I kind of looked through these and saw some credits, and then looked through some more. Like there should have been some
sun drifting through the windows in the farmhouse.
Exactly. Yeah. So I thought this was a nice touch to just get into it, and just as like a big reminder, even just getting into this, that Superman, this is his story as a boy, and just a reminder that he is human in that sense, or has that human side of him because of how he's been raised and everything else. So I thought that was just a nice, that he goes to prom, that he tries out for baseball and all these other activities that are relatable to us humans. So yeah, I appreciate that they did that.
I specifically like that Tim Sale here calls out Norman Rockwell in his little thank you section on.
Oh yeah.
He mentions Norman Rockwell, whose artwork is a very distinct kind of version of old school retro sort of America that Tim Sale was definitely trying to channel in a lot of these scenes of Metropolis. Or, sorry, not Metropolis, Smallville, that we are going to see throughout this first issue, especially.
Yeah. Yep. No. Yeah. Good call there. So we jump into I want to throw this in too because it's the theme of the book. Going into the hints of each season here. So kicking it off with spring. I like that kind of cover or splash page where these were released individual issues at one point, right? That was how this initially came out. Okay.
Yeah, that's the cover of issue 1 over there.
Nice.
So I guess this all takes place within 1 year. This whole story. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Spring, summer, autumn, fall.
Yeah.
I know seasons.
Yeah. So right away we get this narration, and it's his dad that's essentially talking about his experience with Superman as his son, and a reminder that the story all starts back as he was just his son. That was it. There was no powers. There were no and he took care of him just like anyone would take care of a baby type of thing. And in the meantime, while we get this narration, we see them out on the farm, and he's having a hard time with, removing this large boulder. And he's like, even telling his son, like, hey, you got to get leverage. You got to get under it here. And he's just like, right. Where do you want me to put this?
And I love that like reaction shot down there at the bottom. And he's like, he's still uncomfortable, I think, with the idea that this kid of his is that would be really freaky, as the parent in that situation, be like, oh yeah, I forget sometimes that you can just do this stuff,
right?
And those 2 panels of their faces right there just really kind of set up a lot of the sort of awkwardness of this first issue, and then kind of previewing the uncomfortable leaving the nest sort of vibe that this issue has.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think what was I gonna say? Yep, just lost it. Just lost it.
That's all right. I'll lose it too.
I knew knew I was going to. Yeah, no, I definitely just a wake up call to him, as you said, like trying to adjust where he wants to still teach his son, general things that you would normally teach someone at that age, and yet he, there are things that he doesn't. His teachings don't apply, as he can just lift things. This was a great scene. I thought this was fantastic. Just seeing the families together, and oh, by the way, I didn't mention this before, but one of the other reasons that I got into getting more into Superman and wanting to learn more is I've been watching the CW show, the Superman and Lois
People
show.
have been telling me to watch that. I've been putting it off for some reason.
So that's just made me fall more in love with the character just from watching that. So, and I don't follow the CW stuff. Like I've watched like one episode of Flash once and that was it. So, I didn't really know what I was getting into, but a lot of people, as you said, like were telling me as well, like check it out. And, even if you don't like the character, like it's just something that I think anybody would gravitate towards, very similar to this book. So, I want to point that out because we do see some of these characters in the show and, Lana being one of them. And this is a little different seeing her here right now. Well, I guess technically they address that, but, they're younger here. So obviously no Lois in this time period. But yeah, just like seeing the family together and him in his sports coat there and them just trying to figure out kind of what they want to do. We get the glimpse that they're finishing up high school, right? And that they're planning out.
So yeah, this is spring, and yeah, he's about to graduate in the spring at the end of this school year. So this is at the end of the halfway point kind of his last year in high school. And especially for me, first discovering this book like in my freshman year of college, I was around this same time period, and all of these kind of there's a very like stressful and kind of melancholy period in your life, I think, when you realize you're about to be an adult and things are like really going to change and you can't look back and suddenly all these things are that you kind of took for granted about growing up and being a teenager and just the way life kind of falls through your fingers at this point in your life. It just makes you sad and reflective. And I think that comes a lot across really well here in their conversation, especially.
Yeah, it's a great point. Even just like them trying to figure out. Well, I mean, even in this like next slide, like or not this. Well, let me jump through here for a second. So even like this, like, sorry, I'm jumping around here.
I love it, man. Jump around.
So even something like this, I just love seeing these them talking again, just more about like what they're trying to do. Clark's not quite sure, but the other guy, what's the other guy's name?
Pete Ross.
Where he's just like, he's ready to go. He's ready to go to the big city. He is done with that. And that very much too is, I feel like growing up, like I had friends who had these different ideas and things they want to do and quote unquote, get out of, wherever we grew up or wherever you grew up, like things like that. And I know some towns give off this a little bit more of this vibe than others, like kind of closed in where everybody knows everybody, type of thing. And you just want to kind of escape that. So very relatable in that sense.
Did you ever move as a child? Did you move to a different place or like a different school? Or I was in the same exact house for like my entire childhood. And I had this kind of teenage, I grew up in the same house and went to the same school and knew all the same people. And like, I kind of identified with this sort of small, my town obviously wasn't like this. It wasn't this small. And
right.
This is like a 1950s kind of vibe.
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't that old school, but I definitely felt entrenched and in my hometown.
Yep. Yeah, no, same here. And like I said, everybody, families knew families. Like I remember my parents, like, went to school together and then all the neighbors we knew, like they all went to, school back in the day with them and, all that stuff. So it's just interesting perspective. Cause like some people are like, oh, I kind of like to stay here my whole life. And other people are like, nope, I got to get out of here. I got to leave, for whatever the experience they had. Damien asked here, he said, did your dad ever draw Superman, Justin? He only did in some of the Flash books. There were some Flash books that as he was drawing some of the Flash stuff in the late 80s or early 90s, he had like a couple appearances. So I think that.
I forgot he was an artist.
And yeah. Yeah. I don't know if he, I don't know. I don't know. He may have done some other stuff on the side that I'm not as familiar with for Superman, at least not the main title though, that I know of. Mark says I could never be Pa Kent. I would have Clark do all my farm work. 10 minutes. Yeah. That's, I mean, yeah, Mark, that's, you're probably not alone there, man. You're not alone. Let's see. Dashing says same, be like when I was younger, I did it to Clark. Now it's your turn. Yeah. Hey, bottom tier is in the house. I read this real quick. I thought he said, cool, you're alive. I was like,
yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, it's also true. Happy accident I made today. That's awesome, man. Thanks for hanging out. So yeah, let me jump back here because I like this scene too. So this was, by the way, I'm just so glad that we decided to do this, Ryan, because I love going panel by panel right now. So yeah, this was just a nice little touch where, getting to see Martha and Jonathan talk a little bit after their whole dinner thing. And clearly there was like a little bit of awkwardness during the supper, because it's kind of been, as we mentioned before, bothering Jonathan that, his son is doing things that, he can't even explain to his own son as to why. So she addresses that here. He expresses himself, and basically at the end, they're just like, you think he can hear us? And he's like, no, he's all the way. His room is on the other side of the house. And I love it. Just zooms in and he's here and probably feeling some type of way,
Also, I love the fact that Superman had a messy room.
Good point. Yeah.
He's just like us.
Yes. Yeah. I was going to say, it's so relatable. It's a great point.
It's a great, just single image. And the look on his face, and just like, his window's open, so I feel like even if he didn't have superpowers, you might still be able to hear this conversation.
Maybe, yeah. Martha has the right to consider that for sure. By the way, his look here with the shades, Jonathan, I do get like some Matrix vibes.
I was thinking that Morpheus.
But yeah, so that great observation with the room for sure. Nice splash page. And in general, like I know we talked about this beforehand, but like a ton of great splash pages in this entire thing. And that's why I kind of want to go back and read it physically, because I would love to just see these on paper. And if they had a larger version of it, even would be really cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my digital stuff, but it would just be nice to see it in color too, or in paper. So moving on here, what did you think of some of this? Kind of getting introduced to some of the town. We get a lot of names that I didn't, some I knew, some I didn't, but a lot kind of going on in this introduction of them walking into this this bar here.
This whole vibe, just this whole series makes me feel like It's a Wonderful Life, like Jimmy Stewart and like an old Frank Capra movie.
When he puts his hand on it, says, "I wish I had $1 million." I just thought of that exactly when I first.
Isn't that from that movie?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah, it is from that. Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, except he says hot dog, and it's a flame. It's like a little lighter or whatever. But he's like, "I wish I had $1 million." Hot dog.
So wholesome. This whole scene is just. It's just perfect. Yeah. Everybody in here knows each other. It's something they probably do every single day. Even the people who are already there, they've been playing that same card game for like 100 years.
Yep.
They actually do it throughout the course of this whole series.
That's right.
Spoilers,
they do. Yeah.
Should probably mention that spoilers.
we will be spoiling this book if anybody didn't know. No, I'm with you. I remember thinking too when I was first reading into this, like a part of me was a little concerned of like, oh man, is this going to be like one of those like, oh, there's too many characters to keep track of type of stories or whatever, like because you do get hit with like 4 or 5 names on purpose. But I get now kind of what they were doing. It's more of just these were all people that all knew Clark, and Clark knew all of them, and it was just that hometown, like we were just talking about before. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody's like family practically.
It feels like a lot, but at the same time, this is his whole world basically is in this in Smallville, and this is all just to set the stage for him eventually going to Metropolis and seeing the big city and like suddenly realizing how much bigger the world actually is.
Oh yeah, like a big wake-up call. Yeah, for sure. I definitely like these. I like too, they were talking a little bit, we get our first mention here of Lex Luthor as well, which I thought was an interesting way to kind of throw his name in there at this stage of the game of where we're at. And of course, anytime I'm reading like a Superman book or being as new as I am, like I'm just like, when does Lex show up? Like, I know Lex is like his guy to go against or whatever. So
Where's the kryptonite?
So yeah. So hearing his name right off the bat was interesting, and I think it was done in a really nice way where it was obviously very subtle and more of like almost quite as she's questioning. Lana's like, "Do you think he's real? Do you think that's just like So I like that it was just kind of put out there gently. Real quick in the chat, I saw Dashing says, Justin, why didn't you watch any CW shows like Legends of Tomorrow? Really just time and priority. That's really it. I have nothing against CW. It's just I've kind of been a lot more to Marvel over the years, and not really taking time. And I've heard mixed.
I don't think they're very good.
Yeah, I've definitely heard mixed things. But I'm also just newer to DC in general. I mean, newer, past year or so, thanks to Tom Taylor's Nightwing 78. Before that, I really had no interest in a lot of DC stuff. So that's partially why. Sure, maybe I'll get around to some of it at some point. I'm definitely watching the Superman and Lois. So. Mark talking about the Clark's messy room as a revelation. Superman was always portrayed as perfect, which is a turnoff. Totally. I mean, that's what you mentioned, Ryan, before. Your thought at first was
that's one of the reasons I love this comic is because you get in his head and you see his first months as Superman. Like when he puts on the costume and goes to Metropolis and starts doing this, you realize like he is not perfect. He is struggling. He's still figuring out what to do and how to do all this. And I think that's one of the main reasons this book works so well.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, he's definitely, yeah. He can be very relatable. Let's see. Bottom tier says, this is what DC does best, making good stories without anything to prove. Yep. I mean, I'm loving the DC stuff right now. A lot of the DC stuff that's being put out right now. So, and we're getting a lot of heartfelt type of stuff, I feel like. So yeah, moving on here. I have two screenshots in the same. Oh, so all right. So this was cool too. Like he just goes and gets a haircut. You get a little introduction to the barber, and how kind of word gets around and through him and stuff. And he goes to cut his hair and scissors break. I
loved that.
Yeah. I remember that was in a movie or show or something, right? A while ago. Like it might've been one of the older Superman films, something. I don't know why I can picture this one moment where he's getting his hair cut and scissors break. I don't remember what I saw that in.
It's such a subtle way to convey his invulnerability. And I love how right before that, he accidentally sees through the wall and hears them talking while he's gone.
Yep.
His friends that he just left on the other side of the wall there. And like, he doesn't control it. He has no idea why this is. I guess does he know why? I think he knows that he was adopted and he's an alien at this point.
Right.
He knows that he can do things that are not normal, but
yeah,
he's not saying, let me turn on my X-ray vision and see through the wall.
Right.
He just happens to him by accident.
Yeah. Which is, again, just a great preview of where he's at in his life right now and getting an understanding. Because obviously the big picture is, Superman perfect and strong and super and whatever. But here he's so new to everything and just going with the flow. So, I like that for sure. And yes, they're talking about him and just saying like, hey, was he acting, you think he was acting weird today? And he's like, no, that's him. That's just how Clark is. He's in his own little world. And he kind of proves it when he runs off again. And even on, I think it's this next thing here. Yeah. Or it's around here where he kind of calls him out. Maybe I didn't add that one in, but basically like he says he has to go. He leaves. Oh yeah, it is there at the top left, or it's right next to me here. And he's like, see, Lana, I told you he's in his own little world. And he just like takes off. He's like, I gotta go. It says he'll be back to the barbershop another day. Meanwhile, I like that he was like, these darn scissors. Like he's just like, they just can't make a good pair of scissors nowadays. I thought that was great too.
Doesn't faze him. Not really.
No, he doesn't consider it at all. What's up, art chemist? So he's trying to get home. I love this too. Just kind of prove, showing his ability and how fast he is catching up.
Isn't that part of the original like theme song of Superman or whatever? He's like faster than a locomotive.
Yeah.
And he just like runs past the train and crosses in front of it, which
yeah.
Nice touch.
It's
nice
perfect.
Reference and a nice subtle way to show how his powers work.
Yep. And then he comes, this is where he comes home. He's just standing out there, right? This is he's Martha calls Jonathan over to come talk to him. What'd you think of this?
This is the first time I realized like, oh crap, this book is going to make me feel stuff. Like So you see him standing out there, and she basically has her husband go talk to him. He has a nice heart-to-heart with his dad. But at the same time, we're getting his dad's narration of how he feels during all of this. And just reflecting on having your child grow up and get out of the house, and like getting both of their feelings on at this rough kind of vulnerable moment it's impossible to not feel things yourself while you're reading this.
Totally. 100%. Yeah. He's talking about just remembering him being that baby that he carried in his arm and was trying to get he was learning as a father, was trying to learn like how to do this right. And just talks about some of this stuff, and Clark being, before he knew Clark was, or thought he was, was just this normal boy or whatever. I totally agree. Very heartfelt, right off the bat. Mark here says, I thought Man of Steel did an awesome job of portraying young Clark dealing with his powers and the kids around him, thinking he's not quite right. Yeah, so I haven't. Yeah, that was Man of Steel. I will have to. It's been a long time.
I haven't seen that in forever either.
Yeah.
10 years old this year, though. That's a trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I feel old.
Yeah. Wow, man. So yeah, I'm with you here. Definitely, the waterworks a bit start to kick in on some of this for sure. And then we get this tornado. So this was like,
Man of Steel did do this. I think they adapted this idea of like a natural disaster being the thing that forces him to, like, the training wheels of your abilities are now off, and you realize, in your heart that you can do things to help people, more so than just like letting them drive to safety, or I don't know. That this is just a really scary moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is even like Jonathan's. They're trying to wrangle up the animals at the barn and whatever. I love the splash page, by the way. Beautiful splash page.
That's a good spread.
And then we get him kind of being taken off, but he's like, I think I can handle this. Like he's like, feeling a little more confident as he's being like lifted or whatever. And then we get some action here, man. We get some, people people in danger type stuff. So, him going into town, seeing this guy near a gas station about to explode, that bottom right hand goes and saves that. Do you have the splash page there? I could blow it up there.
It's on different. It's not laid out the same way.
Oh, okay.
On the book.
But gotcha. Okay.
That's what I'm seeing here. And then the next page is when the explosion happens. Yeah.
Nice. Yep. Yeah. And I should note too, like these panels here. So I read digitally as I got this. I really liked, I love the panel to panel feature. And this is one of the reasons of seeing some of the action scenes and then the explosion. At that moment, it didn't really cross my mind that this was going to explode until I saw the.
Meanwhile, you turn the page fire. And it's going to happen.
Yeah, your eye kind of catches it. Right.
One of the benefits of going digital.
Totally. That was just a cool kind of cinematic experience for me, where as I'm tapping the screen, that I get this explosion, and wasn't quite expecting that. So I love that he saves this guy. The guy's still like awake. He doesn't get knocked out or anything. And I remember even thinking like, he's going to know Clark. Clark doesn't have like his glasses yet or anything to like differentiate himself versus Superman. So how's this guy going to like, is he just going to tell him, hey, don't tell anybody? But they do like handle that. And he's like, he basically chalks it up to like, no, that gust of wind took you and threw you right into me. Like, man.
Yeah. I love how in the moment where he flies down and picks him up, the narration of Jonathan Kent, he's saying, there are so few things a person can be really sure of, but I believe in the wild trouble of that moment, our son became a man. And it says that right when he flies down and saves him. It's just like I don't know.
Yep.
Maybe it says more about my relationship with my father than anything else, but that stuff gets me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Absolutely. And then, so we get this, devastating view of the town, right?
Yeah.
just how much damage was done, and really trying to give you the glimpse of like just how serious, obviously how serious this tornado was. And this is, like I said, the guy kind of chalks it up to, him being just tossed by the wind or whatever, by the tornado. So quickly he goes back home, and luckily he's able to find his parents there. They were concerned for him, and vice versa. Love some of the background for this, by the way, like the far scene there, just the clouds and stuff, the coloring.
I don't know if it pops better on paper here, but
here.
There's a lot of really good sun colors in this first issue, especially.
Yep, agreed.
The sky is pretty.
Yep. And then I didn't put that tractor thing in there, but I like the tractor panel that you had up there too. That was just a sky view. Yeah,
basically repairing everything afterwards.
Right.
Putting stuff back to normal.
Yeah. And even at the bottom of that page where he says when you look into his eyes, I could have done more.
Yep.
And he mentions that. This is where I feel like I started to get this emotional like attachment to understanding him more, and the idea of him being almost kind of being bothered that he didn't, and that he could have done more, and
whereas I think a normal person, but like most of us would just be like, oh wow, I can't believe I flew down and saved that one guy.
Right. We'd be blown away by like,
and he's getting all depressed that like I could have saved so many more people, I could have fixed and solved so many problems. And that I think is like at the ultimate core of why he does the things he does and why Superman is so goddamn cool.
Yeah. And this too, like it just made me realize that like it's way bigger than just the character of Superman. Of why I like him is the fact that he was born in, or that he landed in an area where these two great people were able to take him in and teach him right, and God forbid he grew up in a bad environment or a dangerous environment, or took people that took him in that were not good people.
Have you read Red Son yet?
No.
Superman Red Son, where he lands in like Soviet Russia instead of Kansas.
So someone mentioned that was a story, but yeah, no, I haven't read that.
That's a fun one. That's interesting.
Oh man. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. See, that's
that's that idea and run with it. Like, and it's a Elseworld story. It's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, and that just like goes to like again like the idea of like the parenting, like that they did such a great job at raising him in the way that he's a great person, and he wants to help. He wants to go out of his way to help, and I know we'll get into more of that in some of these other later issues. But that just was something that's really resonated with me, that stood out to me on this character, and it's not just about the character, but it's about his surroundings and his parents, and very relatable to real life, who you're surrounded by, and kind of, who rubs off on you, and what habits you pick up based on who you're living with, or who's around you on a regular basis. So that obviously plays a huge role to seeing why he is who he is today. So something to just note. And then this got me too. He's such a kid, and but he genuinely is just like, he's going to the pastor here and just like asking like, hey, like what if, I love how he's like kind of beating around the bush about it, what if someone could have done more about it. He's like, son, we all do our best, we all do what we can do.
Exactly.
But there are some things that just out of our hands. And he's like, well, what if it wasn't out of our hands?
That's a nice touch. I like this scene.
Totally.
Even the shot right there of him in the middle holding his hat in his hand and looking all like nervous.
Yep, like bashful and like
yeah, totally. He's still young and he's not sure of himself. He's the uncooked Superman.
Yep, 100%. And he gives like good advice to him, and then he gets distracted. There's like something going on. He's like, "I'll be right back, Clark." He says, "But what if there was one?" He just keeps asking. So great. So and then we jump forward just a little bit here. We get some celebrations. A little bit of time passes. As we're rearing the end of spring now, they're all graduating. Love the hats and stuff. The bocce ball and all that stuff. As they're partying and whatnot.
That narration right there is one of the times when I was reading this the other day. This is maybe the first time I started to like actually tear up and like feel hard emotions. Like, okay, crap. He says, as with most things, life went on. The twister had passed. The town was being rebuilt. Martha had already taken Clark to buy a new suit. We brought suitcases down from the attic. I never thought about our time together until it grew too short. And that just sat with me. And I like, oh God, yeah, like we're all getting older. And like life is this continuous thing that just does not go backwards ever. And it's, ugh.
Yeah.
It's not the best feeling.
No. And it's definitely something we've all heard again and again. And, you know, even I remember my grandma, like just talking about how she felt, you know, how time can just fly by. And so you want to, I mean, it's just a reminder to kind of try to make sure to live in the moment and to appreciate what you have around you at that time, you know, and time is short. So yeah, definitely emotional there as well. And then, oh yeah. So right at the end of this part, he decided, I thought this was, I wasn't expecting this. He tells Lana that he's got these powers, and he takes her flying, and they have this, you know, romantic scene here at the end. And what did you think of this whole like reveal to her and everything else?
I like this part, and I think you're right. I think Lana really takes like a back seat, I feel like, in this first issue, because we get it from his dad's perspective this whole time. He's narrating this whole issue. And for me, this whole first issue is viewed through the lens of parents and a child, and the fact that he's got his own crush and his own relationships brewing. And it's like that part is always taken a backseat to me throughout this issue. So I always kind of forget that this happens every time I reread this story. But it is a very powerful moment, and it's all kind of wrapped up in his realization. They talk together, and she's like, you can do all these crazy things, you can't stay here. Like, and they realize like, I gotta go and, you know, do more do as much good as I possibly can in a bigger place.
Yeah.
That's a very bittersweet moment.
Right. Yeah. And she has she supports him, and and it was something that I didn't expect or didn't realize that they had a relationship, or, you know, even had feelings or whatever. And I didn't know that. Well, so I don't know if this is like accurate to the rest of this comics or whatever, but I don't know if you know this. So does Lana, in even like Action Comics and stuff, does Lana know who he is even from like the get, or is this like different?
I feel like she's just not in a lot of comics that I've read.
Oh, okay.
I think she's mostly just a figure from his town, his hometown, his childhood.
Oh, okay.
It's mostly just Lois Lane in like every comic, especially now that like Jonathan Kent's in the picture, and
they're married, and
she's his wife, and they have a child, and Lana Lang I haven't really seen.
Okay. Yeah, I was wondering if this was like, you know, Loeb's way of kind of just telling a whole different story, or if this was somewhat accurate to how things went.
I think it is. I think she is kind of like his is like Gwen Stacy to Mary Jane.
That's what I was. Okay, yeah, that's kind of what crossed my mind for a second.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd be too off by saying that, but yeah, that's
like your first girlfriend, your first love, your childhood love.
Yeah. By the way, quick hello to James Phelps hanging out in the chat. What's going on, James? Appreciate everybody hanging right now. We got 7 people with us. Mark said, I find it funny that the artist decided to portray Clark as this huge corn-fed boy instead of having the tall gymnast-like body.
I really like that. I think that he towers over every other person in this series, but especially in I'm looking at this next page here. I don't know if you have it, but he's sitting on the swing next to his mom. And
there it is.
She's like half the size of him or less, and he's just enormous. It's great.
Yeah. I love his suit and everything too, and the big bow tie, tie. Yeah, that was great. This too was very emotional scenes.
This is maybe my favorite moment in the whole book.
Oh man, yeah. So go ahead. You talk to the scene.
It's the day that he's leaving, right? He's leaving his family's home, and he's going off to do his own thing. But it's the day, and it's like you wait for this moment your whole childhood, and as parents especially, this has to be super traumatic and heartbreaking. But like, he's kind of going out here for a last look at the farm. He's not just a goodbye to his parents, but it's a goodbye to his home and where he grew up. And just the beautiful like sun. I think it's the sunset, sunrise, whatever it is, whatever's happening there. It's just, especially in the book. Like this is the main reason I think you want to get this book physically, because it's just like, you turn the page
taking up
and
both
like,
pages.
it stops you in your tracks when you get to this part.
That's great.
I want this as a print. I really want this on my wall somewhere.
Oh man, yeah, absolutely. It tells so much with so little in text. Yeah, I'm with you, and I like that. Hearing what Martha again says to Clark at the end of just like whatever you believe in. She goes, remember, you can do anything you set your mind to as long as you believe it with all your heart, and that's something that I've been fortunate enough to be told all throughout my life, and I know that not everybody has that. Or has been told that. But again, just to what I was saying before, just really having me realize just how important his parents were to him and to helping him be who he was today or is now today. This was just like another testament to that. And so I thought that was really, really heartfelt. And even the dad is narrating here at the end of it too, down at the bottom, just talking about his my stomach rumbled all day long. Martha and I had done our job. We brought him up right, and all that meant to me now was our only son was old enough to say goodbye. That was
that gets me, man. And then you turn the page and you're blasted in the face with this incredible image, and you're just like, my heart is already rolling from that like narration, and then you get this beautiful image of the sun and the bare bones dialogue they have right there, which just like sums it up. And even the fact that they're on opposite pages when you have the 2-page spread here. There's like this distance between them, but it's not like a bad thing, they're both just kind of like, I feel like it's a bro thing. Like they're both just like, I'm not sad. Let's go, son.
Sure. Yeah, no, and that's
tough.
totally. Yep.
I remember feeling that moment too, man. When I went to college and my parents took me to get me all set up in my dorm, I had the same exact kind of moment with my family, and they were like, all right, you're here. We got all your stuff out of the car. I guess we're going to leave you here now and say goodbye. And it's just, you're a man now, son. And it's just like all of this brought back like those kind of memories. And especially for me discovering this comic, like that same year, it was like, fresh. So this whole first issue really gets me.
Damn. Yeah. That was kind of like perfect timing in your life at that time. I should have put a warning on here of grown men may cry on this throughout this. I'm totally with you here. Let's see. Gore says this scene reminds me from Superman the movie when young Clark leaves his mother to find his destiny. Yeah, there you go.
I need to watch that movie again. I've only seen it once.
Same. I don't really recall much actually at all.
Same. John gets mad at me every time. I
bet he does.
That's probably why he doesn't like this comic, because he likes that movie too much.
We flash on here now. Time passes, and we get the busy city here. Something that I think more of the lesser fan, or maybe people that don't know, Superman much, that just kind of picture him for Metropolis. This is kind of his world now at this point. And I love seeing the Daily Planet, seeing this transition is nice.
I love how Lex Luthor's building is just a giant L.
Yeah.
That's gotta be bad for like wind or something, right? Like in the corner of that L.
Totally.
Wouldn't the windows just like shatter from like, I don't know how physics works. That can't be good. I don't think that's aerodynamic.
Just picture being in the room of the designers that day when they're just like, all right.
Wouldn't that mean if you're on the inside of the L, the people at the corner, wouldn't you just be able to look directly across into like some other coworker's office or something? Right,
you'd be pretty close. Yeah. Chances are you're probably in that same room with them.
Hopefully.
Just around the corner.
Passing notes.
Yeah. But this is a nice little comparison, especially going from this view and then literally the next page going right into this. And it even talks about, the country mouse leaves Smallville and becomes a city mouse, as it says. and even Jonathan says, I never cared for Metropolis much. Can't see the horizon unless you're flying over it. Maybe that's why Clark chose to settle there after all. And then as we get to the end here, we get a glimpse here, our first glimpse of Lois, and Jimmy Olsen, who I'm not as familiar with. I only know his name because of the Jimmy Olsen comic books that exist, and seeing them in bins and stuff like that. But I don't really know much about who Jimmy Olsen is, except for kind of what the understanding that I got from here, him being a kid photographer. And yeah. What were your thoughts here? Just kind of being, jumping right in. He's now taking his new job on, things like that.
I love that this is the last couple of pages of this issue, is you're getting a pretty quick introduction to Perry, his boss at the newspaper, to Lois, to Jimmy Olsen. You're getting Metropolis. It kind of gives you that same kind of whirlwind sense of this is all so much, this is happening fast. It throws you a couple of shots of the newspaper up there in the corner. You get Lex Luthor over there on the other page. He's balding and losing his hair, which I like. I like that he's not bald yet. But he is losing his hair, and that's maybe why he's such a pain in the ass.
Totally.
But I love it. It's like a good tease of what you're going to get in the next issue, and it makes you want to continue reading, unless you're John.
Yeah. I am surprised that he does not like this. I didn't realize that was.
He might be joking. Me and him joke back and forth about hating popular things or hating good things. Just
that's because. Right. Yeah.
Maybe he's joking. I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Oh, there we go. Okay.
John didn't like this comic. Interesting. So far, I'm enjoying the discussion, and we'll be picking up the trade next time I see it at the shop. Awesome, Gore. Very cool.
Okay.
You'll have
to work then.
Yeah, you'll have to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've done. Yeah, we've
We've convinced one person, and that person is Gore. So
yes, amongst anyone. Yeah, absolutely. Right? And maybe Mark, if he's still in the chat here.
Yeah. One by one, we'll get you all.
Yeah. Justin and Ryan take over the Superman world. I'm with you. I like this little subtle introduction, not going too in detail with everything, but obviously something or at least I was expecting to eventually get to. So I was like, cool, we're getting a little, taste of this here right at the very end. I don't know the relationships per se, but I was like, oh, Lois is going out with Lex. Is that a thing? Or did they ever do that? That was something that was new to me. I didn't know, kind of what to think of that.
New to me too, but that's one of the reasons I like a lot of Superman books is they kind of just tell their own story, their own sort of out of continuity, unless you're reading the main title, I guess.
Sure. But. Mark says, I never understood how and why DC thought a Jimmy Olsen character was deserving of a solo series. Yeah, I don't know.
I've never read it, so I can't say for sure.
Yeah.
But the impression I get was that it's kind of like a jokey, silly, fun, goofy book. Fun hijinks. Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Fun hijinks.
Yeah.
I know Tessa really likes the Jimmy Olsen run.
Nice. I would dabble in it. I mean, I'm curious about the character. I mean, I don't know any scenarios or situations yet. I do understand that there are times where he has to save him and stuff like that. So
do you have the final pages of this issue here?
Yes.
Okay, because that's one of my favorite endings.
Oh yeah,
it just really nails Superman.
Oh totally, yeah. Are you ready for this? Everybody in the chat, you ready for this? Let's do it. Yeah, jump into the next. So here's a couple, and if you want to hold your book up too, because that you might have some.
That might work better.
Just some closer, yeah. For some of these pages.
I've got that version.
Yeah, that's great.
Right here. Yeah.
Yep. So great. Love the colors and everything.
It just pops. It pops so well.
Yeah.
But this dumb kid is chasing a kitty cat on the ledge of a skyscraper. Maybe he deserves to fall.
It's a typical day. It's a typiple day,
This might have just been Mother Nature, having nature needs to play its course with this kid, or Superman's gonna be rescuing him from dumb decisions every day.
Every day, yeah.
But he falls off, and Superman saves him and hands him his hat back, and he says, "Wow, cool costume." And then he says, "Thanks, my mom made it for me," with this salute, and that's just that's the perfect ending. It's beautiful. I love it. It's such a wholesome, heartfelt, sweet thing to say, and it works in a way that Batman could never pull off. I don't know. That's a whole different conversation. Superman versus Batman. But I like this kind of approach. Batman would have just been like, "Argh!" and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
drove away in a Batmobile at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, this definitely was a nice add in here, and especially seeing some of the show. Well, I guess I'll guess I'll just leave it at that. But that yeah, I like seeing how this happened, how this kind of went out. And then of course, yeah, we get Lex here, kind of still spying, or looking through, not spying. He's looking through his L-shaped building window, and he sees Superman fly by here at the end, and with that, even this, like the text here at the end, very heartfelt, and again, just to the points that this whole story is about is coming from a father's perspective, coming from Jonathan's perspective. He says, at the end of the day, I'm not sure we're all that different from any other parent. We worry about our son, that he's eating right, that he's making friends, and that he'll stay out of harm's way, even if he is Superman. And that's kind of how that ends, as we see Lex, with his evil eyes
And
looking onward.
I love how it sets up their whole rivalry is basically summed up in this like one page here. He's the top of the town, Lex Luthor's the kingpin, basically looking over his domain, and Superman flies by, and he's just like jealousy and like starting to already plot and scheme, and like wondering how he's going to take him down, or what way, how he could possibly have an impact on him.
Yep.
And it just sets up their rivalry here in a few panels.
Oh yeah. I love the zoom in on the eyes right at the end, and just
I also thought he was holding like a breathing mask or something at first. It doesn't look like he's drinking wine. It looks like he's sucking oxygen out of a machine.
Right.
That was my impression. Like, he's really feeble.
He's a big Darth Vader fan. Big Darth
Vader.
And also within this text here, some of the verbiage is his assistant here saying, will there be anything else, Mr. Luthor? And he just says, it's going to be a long, hot summer. And those are his final words there, which is perfect setting up for going into the summer next issue, as we will not talk about tonight, but we will dive into at another time.
Glad we decided to just break this up into segments. This would have been a rushed mess.
I would have, agreed. I would have been sad to like not. I mean, there were between the things you wanted to highlight and the things I wanted to highlight. Like it was just like we gotta take some time and just kind of go through this issue.
We don't know exactly when that's gonna happen. We're gonna figure that out behind the scenes, but within a few weeks, maybe a month max. Like we'll figure out the timeline and obviously let everybody know when we're gonna get back to this. But I'm very glad we decided to do this.
Likewise, and I appreciate you putting me onto this book, and glad that we're doing this for sure. I love the artwork. I love the style of it. The colors in this pop, like, again, another reason I want to get the physical copy of this as well at some point. So, I'm looking forward to more of it. I hope that people watching right now, our goal, and we said this already, I guess, but our goal is to just like. Anybody should read this book, and it doesn't matter if you are a diehard Superman fan or if you can't stand DC. Period. This is a book that I think can resonate with anybody, no matter what age you are or who you are. Like, it's just something that I think anybody can enjoy and relate to and feel from and gain emotion from in reading this. So I will be shouting this to the rooftops for a long time for sure, Ryan.
I think especially people who don't like DC and don't like Superman. I think those people especially need to try this book.
Totally.
And then you'll be allowed to critique.
Yes.
I don't like Superman because XYZ. Like, okay, read this. Yeah. And we'll get into it in the next issues, but this book directly addresses how you can effectively take him down in a manner of speaking, how you can affect him and mess up his day or his summer.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Totally. Tessa said, I'd love to see Batman try to pull off that. Yeah, the kid.
My mom made it for me.
Yeah.
But she's dead now.
It'd be a much more darker story that he would like say to this kid.
And you're dead too.
Yeah.
It'd be good. I would like to see that too.
I think that was, let me just make sure. That was it. So Before we close out, any other final thoughts or anything that maybe we missed or that you want to just add in here before we kind of wrap it up?
No, we did a very thorough. We did exactly an hour. Got through most of the pages in this whole issue, so I'm pretty impressed. We did totally. Good. We didn't even rehearse it.
That's right. Yeah, no, we did not.
That would have been weird.
yeah. And then you say,
"That's my line, Justin." That'd have been good. That's next
so
time.
Great. Yeah. Thank you, Gore. He says, enjoyed it. Hope you're liking Sandman. Definitely, I am. Me too. Yeah, we'll dive into that. Mark says this was cool. Mark, thanks, man, for sticking around. I know you got your basketball game going on, but I appreciate you hanging out with us. He says, I'm still not compelled. I just feel like this has been told several times with small deviations, but maybe I'm just too judgmental because Suns are losing badly. Oof, I'm going to chalk it up to the Suns losing badly for you. But Mark, you give it time and read it for yourself. I think it will.
I think what seals the deal with this issue is the narration. We have not been reading the narration.
That's
at least not all of it.
Yes, you're right. That's definitely Yep. A lot of father-son, relationship building there and emotion there for sure.
That's great.
So, all right, gang. Well, that's it. If you're not following Ryan, make sure you do so. Put his information in the description below, or don't. Yeah, or don't. Do what you want. If you like this, take a moment, smash that like button. If you didn't like this, that's okay. You can hit this. But I always say, if you're going to dislike it, hit the dislike button twice, just to really emphasize how much you didn't like this video. Otherwise, we'll be back. Within next couple of weeks or so, we'll talk about issue 2. So keep an eye out for that. I'll be blasting it over on Instagram. So keep an eye out. But otherwise, appreciate everybody hanging. I hope you guys have a good going into the weekend. Glad it's Friday tomorrow. So, but again, Ryan, thanks for joining as always. We'll do more of this for sure. And all right, if you're watching that replay, you right now watching the replay, thanks for taking the time. All right, gang. We'll